Picture this. It's 476 AD. The most powerful empire ever is collapsing. Not from invasion, not from plague, but from a subtle mistake nobody saw. Fast forward to 2026. America stands at the same crossroads as Rome did. Empires don't fall from external threats, they collapse from within, repeating the same mistakes. Today we're exploring the fatal mistake that destroyed Rome, and America is repeating. To understand Rome's error, go back to 235 AD. The crisis begins here. For 50 years, Rome bled money through civil wars and constant barbarian invasions everywhere. Over 50 emperors in 50 years, most assassinated, the empire desperately needed cash. So they made a choice that seemed brilliant. They debased their currency completely. The Roman denarius was originally pure silver, Rome's trusted money for centuries everywhere. But Emperor Nero began mixing cheaper metals like copper and bronze into coins. By 270 AD, the silver denarius was less than 5% actual silver remaining. In just 200 years, they destroyed 95% of their currency's real purchasing value. Romans didn't see this as a mistake. They saw it as a brilliant solution. They could mint more coins, pay soldiers, fund wars, and keep running strong. But everything went wrong fast. Prices exploded across the entire Roman Empire. Wheat costing 1 denarius now cost 30,000 denarii by century's end. Unbelievable inflation. Farmers stopped selling food for worthless currency and began bartering goods instead, daily. Tax collectors couldn't collect taxes because the money was completely and utterly worthless. Soldiers abandoned their posts because their pay couldn't even buy basic bread anymore. The empire's economic engine, the thing that made Rome great, seized up completely. Emperor Diocletian tried fixing it with price controls backed by the death penalty. It failed spectacularly because you simply can't legislate away harsh economic reality here. But here's the truly fatal part. Once money died, so did trust everywhere. Citizens stopped believing the government could protect their interests or their future prosperity. Provincial regions started hoarding resources, preparing for a world without Rome's central power. The wealthy elite moved their money out of the empire to safety elsewhere. The middle class, merchants, artisans, and small landowners were completely wiped out forever. When the middle class disappeared, so did the tax base supporting the empire. Civic participation vanished. The shared identity holding the empire together was completely gone. Rome didn't fall to barbarians in 476 AD. It hollowed itself out first. The barbarians just knocked over an empty shell of what Rome once was. The fatal mistake wasn't just currency debasement. It was destroying economic trust completely. The collapse of the middle class killed Rome from the inside out. Now let's talk about America in 2026 and the eerie parallels we're seeing. In 1971, President Nixon severed the dollar's link to gold, backing it forever. Before that, the dollar was backed by something tangible, real gold in vaults. After that, it became fiat currency, backed only by government decree and trust. Sound familiar? Rome did the exact same thing with their denarius currency debasement. Since 1971, especially since 2008, America has been running a dangerous monetary experiment. We've increased the money supply by trillions, printing more dollars than ever before. The M2 money supply has increased over 300% since the year 2000 alone. In 2020 alone, we increased it by 25% in just one single year. Just like Rome, we had our reasons: financial crisis, COVID, infrastructure, defense spending. All legitimate needs, right? But here come the inevitable and painful economic consequences. Inflation hit 9% in 2022, the highest rate in 40 years across America. Housing prices have doubled in many markets in just one single decade recently. College tuition has increased 180% since 1980. Crushing students with massive debt. Healthcare costs have skyrocketed 260% in the same period, bankrupting American families everywhere. The dollar's purchasing power has declined by 90% since 1971, a staggering loss. A house costing $25,000 in 1970 now costs $400,000 today, 10 times more. A college degree costing $10,000 now costs $200,000, blocking middle-class dreams. The dollar your grandfather earned is worth 10 cents of your dollar today. Just like Rome, America's middle class is vanishing before our very eyes here. In 1971, the middle class comprised 61% of all Americans living prosperously then. Today, it's down to 50% and falling fast every single year now. Real wages, adjusted for inflation, have barely budged since 1973, essentially stagnant completely. Meanwhile, productivity has skyrocketed 77%, but workers don't see those gains at all. The wealth gap has exploded wider than ever in American history before. The top 1% now control more wealth than the entire middle class combined. In 1989, the middle 60% held 32% of all national wealth in America. Today, they hold just 16%, their share cut in half in one generation. Look at what's happening to social cohesion. It's falling apart rapidly everywhere now. Political polarization is at levels not seen since the American Civil War era. Regions are increasingly at odds: red states versus blue, urban versus rural communities. Trust in government institutions has collapsed to historic lows. Only 20% trust government. Internationally, countries are starting to hedge against the dollar, preparing for its decline. China and Russia conduct trade in yuan and rubles, bypassing the dollar. BRICS nations are exploring alternative reserve currencies to replace the American dollar. Central banks worldwide are buying gold at the fastest pace in decades now. They're preparing for a world where the dollar isn't dominant anymore globally. Just like Roman governors prepared for a world without Rome's central authority. So why 2026 specifically? What makes this year the critical inflection point ahead? Multiple converging factors create a polycrisis, several crises hitting simultaneously at once here. Factor 1. U.S. national debt will cross $36 trillion in 2026, unprecedented levels. Annual interest payments will exceed $1 trillion, more than we spend on defense. We'll pay more on interest than our entire military. Think about that reality. When interest consumes that much budget, something has to give: cuts or printing. Both options accelerate the crisis. There's no easy way out of this. Factor 2. Social Security Trust Fund will be depleted by 2034, completely gone. But real stress begins in 2026, as baby boomers all retire simultaneously. We'll have 2.3 workers per retiree compared to 5.1 workers back in 1960. The math doesn't work. The system will require massive bailouts or benefit cuts. Both options are politically explosive. No politician wants to touch this issue. Factor 3. 2026 marks critical mass in global trade arrangement changes happening now. The expanded BRICS alliance now includes Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, and Iran together. They represent 45% of global population and 35% of world GDP combined. They're actively building payment systems that bypass the dollar completely in global trade. When Saudi Arabia accepts yuan for oil, that's not just economics, it's geopolitics. The petrodollar system backing U.S. currency since 1974 is cracking apart rapidly. Factor 4. 2026 is a midterm election year, typically turbulent even normally. But with current social divisions, contested elections and gridlock become far more likely. If government can't function, it can't address economic crises effectively at all. Rome had 50 emperors in 50 years. We have increasing political chaos. The pattern is unmistakable when you look at history repeating itself clearly. When all these factors converge, you get a critical state, extremely fragile. Like an avalanche waiting for one snowflake, the system becomes incredibly unstable. It might be a banking crisis, geopolitical conflict, or natural disaster triggering. The trigger almost doesn't matter when the underlying structure is this unstable. Here's the scariest part. Like Rome, Americans largely don't see it coming. We're debating partisan politics while the foundation crumbles beneath our feet completely. We're arguing about symptoms while ignoring the disease killing us from within. Rome didn't have economists warning them. We do, and we're ignoring them. Here's the good news. We're not Rome. We have advantages they never had. We have economic knowledge. We understand inflation and debt dynamics far better. We have historical examples like Rome showing us exactly what not to do. We have technology. Our ability to create wealth dwarfs anything Rome imagined. America still leads in technology, research, and entrepreneurship across the entire globe. We have adaptability. American democracy has shown remarkable resilience throughout turbulent history. We've weathered civil war, depression, world wars, and social upheaval before successfully. We've reinvented ourselves before. We can do it again if we choose. So what would it take to change course and avoid Rome's fate? Solution 1. We need honest budgeting, acknowledging we can't have endless programs. That means tax reform, not higher taxes, but smarter, more efficient taxation. It means entitlement reform, politically toxic but mathematically necessary to survive forward. Solution 2. Strengthen the middle class through policies focused on wage growth. Make education affordable, healthcare accessible, and housing attainable for average Americans everywhere. When the middle class thrives, society stabilizes. When it disappears, empires fall. History is absolutely clear on this point. The middle class is everything. Solution 3. Restore institutional trust through transparency, accountability, and integrity in government. We need politicians who put country before party. Easier said than done. But it's essential because no society survives without shared, trusted institutions. Solution 4. Monetary discipline. We can't keep inflating money supply infinitely forever. At some point, we need sustainable monetary policy, even with short-term pain. The alternative to short-term pain is long-term collapse. Choose wisely here. But here's the challenge. All these solutions require real political will and courage. They require sacrifice. They require citizens demanding better from their elected leaders. They require being willing to accept difficult truths about our current situation. Romans had the same solutions available. They chose not to take them. Each emperor kicked the can down the road, making easy choices instead. The question is, will we have the courage to choose differently now? 2026 isn't destiny. It's a warning, a chance to change course completely. Rome fell because they destroyed currency, hollowed out the middle class completely. They lost institutional trust and fragmented politically. Opportunities to change were ignored. They chose comfort over courage, easy answers over hard solutions every time. We're at that same crossroads right now. Every indicator shows Rome's playbook. Economic, social, political indicators all show we're following Rome's path almost perfectly. But unlike Rome, we can see what's coming. We have the knowledge. The question isn't whether we'll face crisis. The question is our response. Will we have wisdom and courage to address it before catastrophe strikes? History doesn't repeat exactly, but it does rhyme in very recognizable patterns. Right now, it's rhyming with Rome's final chapters. The ending is approaching. The choice is ours. Let's make sure we write a different ending. What do you think? Are we doomed to repeat Rome's mistakes exactly? Or can we change course? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. Remember, those who ignore history are condemned to repeat it.